All right, here it is, folks, your Daily Dispatch for Tuesday, the 1st of November, 2022. From The Atlantic, let's declare a pandemic amnesty. That's right. We need to forgive one another for what we did and what we said when we were in the dark about COVID by Emily Oster. Now, we're going to get just very into this article. We're gonna pick this article apart piece by piece, and we're gonna let old Miss Oster know exactly what we think about her humble suggestion. You can start by just admitting what you did wrong. We can start by you admitting that you were wrong and asking for forgiveness, not amnesty, forgiveness. It's hard to forgive somebody who is still actively doing the thing they're asking you to forgive them for. So that's kind of confusing. We'll get into it. I don't want to spend too much time in the Daily Dispatch. Instead, I'll toss it over to TikTok, where this guy has the best answer to this that you can imagine. Here it is.
Look. They want everybody to forget and forgive everything that happened during the pandemic. We were all in the dark. We were all afraid. Like, nah, bitch. Like, that was like we all got kidnapped and put together on an island, and then all of y'all bastards were like, we should eat them. And we're like, what the? And then now they took us off the island, and we're just looking at you on the ride home like, and you're like, oh, wasn't that crazy? And we're like, nah, bitch. You tried to eat us. I didn't kick you out of no stores. I didn't ruin your job. I didn't tell you you couldn't come to the family reunion. I didn't tell you you had to drop dead of a heart attack because you didn't get the jab, so you're not welcome at this hospital. There ain't nothing to forgive on my side, baby boo. This is a you problem, and we're still talking about it.
No, we're still talking about it. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. They're like, we could just forgive each other. You know, we stomped on your neck. We forced you, out of our entire society. We ostracized you. We told you you should die. We tried to kill you. We shut you up. We kicked you offline. But, you guys, wouldn't wear a mask. So I think we both have things to apologize for here. Yeah, again, we'll get into that. We'll save that. We'll keep our powder dry on that one till, I don't know, next segment. Then we'll really let loose. But we'll move on for now. Fuel company issues diesel shortage warning, says conditions, quote, rapidly devolving. Maryland, Virginia, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina expect to be impacted by the diesel shortage. A major fuel supply and logistics company is raising a red flag on upcoming diesel fuel shortages. Mansfield Energy issued an alert on Friday saying there is a developing diesel fuel shortage in the southeastern region of the United States. The company speculated that the shortage could be generated from poor pipeline shipping economies and historically low supply of diesel reserves. And of course, this is just one of a number of different things contributing to the perfect storm of total collapse that, again, has been brought about entirely, completely, universally because of policies pursued by the globalist class and their Democratic compatriots. So nothing's being done about this as we're being distracted by Paul Pelosi's gay fling and all sorts of other ridiculous nonsense. The clock is ticking towards midnight. And we'll cover that more as well. This is another story that we'll spend quite a bit of time on today. In fact, it gives us our headline for today's show. Leaked documents outline DHS's plans to police disinformation. This story from The Intercept explains how the government and big tech were in very, very close cooperation as they work together to silence those who departed from the mainstream narrative. Department of Homeland Security is quietly broadening its efforts to curb speech it considers dangerous. An investigation by The Intercept has found years of internal DHS memos, emails, and documents obtained via leaks in an ongoing lawsuit, as well as public documents, illustrate an expansive effort by the agency to influence tech platforms. And it's not just an expansive effort by the agency to influence tech platforms. They have already been hugely successful in this, and they're already working behind the scenes, cooperating hand in glove with the big tech companies. So again, we'll be getting into this. This is the absolute desecration of the First Amendment. It is the greatest violation of human rights in my lifetime, probably, and may very well end up being the story of the decade if we take the information enclosed in this and actually act on it. If we actually are able to achieve change from this, then this will go down in history as a major turning point back towards freedom in this country, or nothing will happen. The Republicans will be absolute windbags and achieve nothing, do nothing to actually preserve and protect our God-given rights, and this will just be yet another story, yet another data point in our fall. So whether this actually becomes a catalyst for change and getting back to the America that was supposed to be, or whether this will just be the documentation of our downfall, is yet to be seen. But we'll get very into this article as well. And we've got just all sorts of stuff, the actual text messages, the documents, the collusion, the way it goes from COVID-19 and that the infrastructure that they set up for COVID-19, how seamlessly it gets turned into war propaganda. It's a huge story, and we'll spend the appropriate amount of time on it today, and we'll take your calls about that as well. We also have this story too. Our last two stories are the ones we've been covering for a while, new developments in each. Kanye says, my lawyers told me I'll lose custody of my kids if I keep up the, quote, anti-Semitic rhetoric. Ye said Sunday night on Parler that he was told by his custody lawyer, Bob Cohen, that he will lose custody of his children if he keeps up his anti-Semitic rhetoric. On my last and final meeting with Bob Cohen, he told me, if I keep up this anti-Semitic rhetoric, you'll lose custody of your children. Let me get this straight, he continued. If I complain about Jewish business practices, it's considered anti-Semitic. So my custody lawyer was basically telling me if you complain about getting done wrong in business, you will lose custody of your children. And this was the guy on my side. So again, they've already robbed the man of $2 billion in a single day, destroyed the business network that he spent a lifetime setting up, but unfortunately hasn't learned his lesson yet. I think if you want to keep him in line, just get the whip out. Just tie him up to the stockade, get out the bullwhip, and whip him until he says his name is Toby. I think that's the way that this needs to happen. I think you're just beating around the bush here. Just whip him into submission like you know you want to. I think that would be actually kinder than taking the man's kids away. I think it's actually more cruel of a punishment. So why not just get the bullwhip out and whip him like a slave, since that's the way that you're treating him? Just, again, horrific, despicable, and we'll get more into that later as well. We'll also talk about Kyrie Irving, who's also being accused of anti-Semitism for posting a very bizarre documentary, and we'll talk about that as well. Then the other story that we've been covering here, alleged Paul Pelosi attacker David DePape, charged by federal prosecutors. And we're learning new things about David DePape, including that he wanted to keep the House Speaker hostage and, quote, break her kneecaps, and that he's an illegal immigrant from Canada. Yes, Canada, the worst place in the world. We're learning more about this, but not really getting any answers to the questions that we have. Of course, all of this could be easily wrapped up in a single moment if they just release the CCTV footage that we know that they have of the event, but they're not doing that for some reason. So you're not allowed to ask why. That makes you a conspiracy theorist. Just accept what they say.